All right, everybody, welcome to a Friday edition, special edition of Teaching Crypto. Please smash that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Hit that like button, bell notification, super chat, and the stores are available. Huge show today, Mr. FOMO. Right after we recorded, and thank you guys so much for supporting the show. Big breaking news, potentially, and now even though the conference is actually starting next Thursday, this announcement, if it were to take place, would not be until Saturday. And this is huge. Okay. Came out that possibly Trump will potentially declare Bitcoin a strategic reserve asset. And this, people are saying, is a watershed moment in Bitcoin, a historic moment in Bitcoin. And so we got to talk about this because we've talked about the fact that he was going to be speaking at the conference, but declaring that if he won, he was going to do this. And again, we're not getting into politics. Don't worry. But we got to cover the story. We would be doing you guys a disservice because this could dramatically affect the price in August and September. Now, long term, here's the deal. Bitcoin doesn't need anybody. It's going to do its thing over the long haul. But in the short term, this is a big news moment. And to me, I can't imagine this is going to, by itself, if this were to happen, at the minimum, push us over 70K. At the minimum.
I think just the announcement in and of itself will push us over 70K. And even just the rumor of the announcement should start to push the price back up once we get over these Mt. Gox sales.
That's right.
But this I think when the US starts using Bitcoin as a strategic reserve, that sort of validates the digital gold narrative, doesn't it? Because we also use gold as a strategic reserve. I don't know that this is necessarily a big change for the US. As far as I know, the US holds like 200,000 Bitcoin that they've gotten from illicit actors. And so the US is already a big holder of Bitcoin, but to see them transition from taking it from criminals and into buying it for a strategic reserve is definitely a watershed moment. So I think it will be huge for the price and for the price action, just the announcement. But when they start doing that, I think it'll be huge as well.
Yeah, and there'll be a domino effect if this does happen. And once countries start seeing Bitcoin as digital gold, which Michael Saylor has been saying for years, that does change everything. Guys, we talked about this how many times? 21 million Bitcoin, 19 mil already been created. There's not an infinite supply like there is currency for governments. Okay. And that's what people are starting to wake up to. It's taken a long time. Not as many people are laughing at you now when you tell them that you own Bitcoin or you talk about Bitcoin. It was only a few years ago that people would laugh. 8 years ago, I didn't know about it. Some people still laugh, but some people laughed at owning shares of Amazon. Some people laughed when the internet started in the mid to late 90s. They said, "Oh, it's a fad; it'll go away." Well, I really truly believe Bitcoin is going nowhere. So whether this happens or not, eventually Bitcoin is going way up. You've heard me say it. I'll say it again. I expect 100K Bitcoin this year. I'm putting up my reputation around it. And I expect $1 million Bitcoin minimum in our lifetime. But I would not be surprised. Hopefully, we all stay alive in good health, that we see a $10 million Bitcoin in my lifetime. When I tell people that, they think I'm insane, but I truly believe it. First step is to get to that 100K. Now, really quickly, we're not going to spend a lot of time on the charts today because we got a lot of stuff to go over, including portfolios. So really quickly, okay.
Oh, and you mentioned something there before we get too far away from it. You mentioned something there. Game theory suggests that other large countries will start to do this as well, right? So they see the U.S. is planning on doing this, or that one of the candidates in the U.S. is planning on doing this. My hope is that other countries start to take a look at this and start thinking about Bitcoin as a strategic reserve if they haven't already. And I'm hoping that larger countries start to do that. And I could care less whether they're friends or enemies or we're in some kind of weird Cold War with them or not. If they're buying Bitcoin, they're driving up the price for me and they're making it more scarce for me. So to be quite honest with you, I could care less who else is buying it as long as people are buying it and driving up the price.
Yeah. All right. And now we look and okay, we're at 64. Yes, we were at 66 earlier this week. You mentioned Mt. Gox. A little under 50% of the Mt. Gox people have bought their Bitcoin. Now, I saw a statistic that less than 60% plan to sell. Now, if that's true, that's significant. I think this is over in July. The German selling is over. And does that not look bad with them selling in the 50s? Holy crap. Now, once we establish 70, that is an amazing jumping off point for the rest of 2024. And again, we say this again, this will not go straight up. There will be pullbacks. But I think the 4-month mini bear is just about over here. Remember, this started in early March and we're getting, it's July 19th. It's going to be August sooner. It's going to be August sooner than you think. So again, I'm seeing a 70K before the end of this month. And I'm pushing for an 80K before football season starts. If you're living in the US, that's early September. That's kind of where my head is going. And we'll see if that happens. All right. I've been laughed at before because I've spoken about Litecoin, and you're going to find out later that I don't actually hold any Litecoin. That's the truth right now. However, Fidelity did add Litecoin. Now, why does this matter? Previously, Fidelity only had Bitcoin, Ethereum. This is a new market. Some older people, but yet some young people do have Fidelity accounts, ladies and gentlemen, right? And so this gives the market more credence. This gives people a chance. Remember, there were a lot of bankruptcies in the last cycle. A lot of people lost faith. Well, now millions and millions of people can get Litecoin, Bitcoin, and ETH. And again, it's not a wallet, so it's a different situation. But this is a new market, and I think this is big for Litecoin because I think there will be a lot of new people entering in the next 6 months. And if they come through Fidelity, this is going to be, not everyone's going to buy the alts like we do. They're going to stick to the basics, right? And so this is, I think, a huge, huge step for Litecoin. And I think over the next 3 to 4 months, normally, if you look at history, Litecoin does very well the fall after the Bitcoin halving. And so I do not have any Litecoin, Mr. FOMO, but I may have to rethink my strategy after yesterday's announcement.
Well, we have at least one viewer that doesn't like Litecoin, but I think
feelings don't matter. It's price that matters. Because remember, you're not holding this for years. You might only hold it for a week, Bobby. That's what you got to remember. Put your feelings to the side. The only thing that stays forever in this market is Bitcoin. Everything else can be used and abused.
Yeah, and I would agree. But I think the bigger story here is that a traditional finance bank like Fidelity is offering access to Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. I think that's a huge story in and of itself that's not being covered by the mainstream media. And I don't think people would laugh so hard if they knew that banks like Fidelity or institutions like Fidelity were offering access to that. Not ETFs, but access to actual crypto. I think people would start to, I think that's where the change comes in, right? When your traditional finance institutions start offering access to them, because that's when people start viewing them as a safer option. And so I think just the even that they offer Bitcoin and Ethereum, I think that's a huge story. But like you said, that opens up the market to a lot of people who would never open a Coinbase account, who would definitely not buy a cold wallet and transfer, crypto back and forth. I think that this is definitely a huge boon for crypto. And I think that if other banks, other traditional finance institutions start offering even just to some of the basics like Bitcoin, ETH, and Litecoin, I think you'll see a huge pump in those coins and in the larger crypto market.
Yeah. Now, we promised you our portfolio. So we're going to give it to you. Now, hopefully this works, Mr. FOMO. But if not, I will, because we're having a bit of a glitch here, but I will read you what I have. So first thing, and Mr. FOMO, I don't know if you can see my screen or not right
I
now.
cannot.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to talk about it because we had a big Microsoft. I don't know, because we did have a big Microsoft glitch this morning, so I don't know if that's
Yeah, so
part of it.
we're gonna go
So
with that. If it's downing planes, it's definitely downing our show.
I
So
actually think that might be it. Actually, so here's what I'm doing. Okay, and I apologize to you guys, but listen to me. 70% I have in Bitcoin. So, Mr. FOMO, explain to the audience why that's probably a good move, right?
well,
Just from this.
it solidifies you. It gives you some stability in your portfolio, because otherwise you have all these super volatile tokens in there, and you might see a significant loss overnight without Bitcoin being in there. But Bitcoin is the most trusted one. It's the safest one. It's the one that we're looking at as a strategic reserve in the U.S. possibly. So um, yeah, it provides you with that kind of stability that other tokens don't, and it's the big daddy.
Okay. Next, I've got 10% in ETH. Why is that important, do you think?
Same reason: digital oil, digital gold. Your ETH provides you with some stability in there, but it's also going to run a little bit more. I believe it's going to outperform Bitcoin, just because of the market cap. And so it's going to give you that stability, but it's also going to give you a little bit more growth than Bitcoin's going to give you.
Okay, now here are my alts. Now remember, we've done some reshuffling. Okay, so this is not like I've held these the entire time, but this is what I have right now. I want to be transparent, and we've talked about this before. I've got iOS Network, I've got Injective, I've got Carrot, I've got Solana, Marinade, Atlas Navi, Rio, and Subquery Network. Now, some of the ones you might not know a lot about, we've mentioned them briefly. Marinade, very low cap, under 100 million. Atlas Navi, very low cap right now, under 20 million. Rio Network, considered one of those real world assets in the crypto world. And then a very small cap Subquery Network. Now, out of those, I'm going to say I put a big stock in Injective because I think it's a bit safer than the others. But I'm pretty high on Atlas Navi. I really am. Now, that is a very, very small cap. If you're not aware, and you haven't been with us for a while, Atlas Navi is a play. It's a, how do I put this? It's kind of gaming, but it's also a navigation system. And right now, for Atlas Navi, the market cap is only $9 million. Okay, now with
Atlas
something
Navi is sort of like, if any of you have Waze on your phone, it's sort of like
Mhm.
that. It's sort of a gamified version of Google Maps. And as of now, I still have not been able to buy my NFT car so that I can start earning. But it's supposed to
Doesn't
be
matter.
a use to earn. Yes,
Doesn't matter.
I know it doesn't matter, but I just wanted to throw that in there. But it is sort of like Waze, except you're going to buy an NFT car that you're going to use to earn throughout your travels.
Okay, I think it's going to do well, right? And I've talked about Carrot and the gaming, and I think that's going to do well. So really quickly, Carrot, what are you getting it at right now if you buy it? And please do your own research. You are getting it at 62.2 million market cap, right? Circulating supply 11%, 105 million. For Carrot, I'm looking at a $2 Carrot. That's my goal. 60 cents, $2. And again, I'm going to be aggressively trying to take profits here. You guys got to understand that. So when I spoke about Litecoin and someone said they didn't like it, I'm not holding on to Litecoin for months. If I were to get it, and I was looking for it to get in the 50s, but we came up faster than I expected, honestly. I, like Litecoin, for example, is at 70. If I picked it up at 70, at 120 to 130, I'm looking to unload it, right? And Solana right now is at just under 164. I have a tough time holding it after 300, even though I think it might go higher. Now, I've talked about ETH. My goals are ETH. I really think ETH can get to that 9 to 10K range. However, taking profits at 5K is not a horrible idea. Again, you want to take profits. This is not going to last forever. Okay. I don't care about the speech on Saturday. We are not having a super cycle where all these alts just continue to go up for the next 5 years. It's not happening. If you're brand new to the space, that's not the way this works. And a lot of these are just unproven. That, to be quite frank with you guys, they're not going to hold their value. Something that's a $2 billion market cap is kind of inflated and it can't last. And we've talked about this before, Mr. FOMO. You want to be careful. There are thousands upon thousands of tokens out there. The money
Tens of thousands
is spread out like it's never been before. So is this the best portfolio? Probably not. This is the one I've decided on for now, and it could change. We just wanted to be transparent.
Well, Bobby Digital agrees with you. 70% BTC is the way, should be the law. I agree with you too. BTC should be a huge portion of your crypto portfolio. And I also agree, and even though I'm not sharing mine, I also agree that you should be in and out of a lot of these. If it's not,
well, that's why you're not
Bitcoin
sharing.
or,
To be frank,
if
you've done a lot of moving around during the bear, so your portfolio has drastically changed what it was 4 or 5 months ago.
and it will, it's going to continue to change. What I'm trading now, and a lot of it is similar to what you're trading. I'd throw Muse in there maybe to be transparent, but a lot of it is going to be gone in a couple of months. I'm not looking for the end of the cycle. What I'm looking for is the next pump and to get rid of it before the next dump, because that's something that's inevitable in these bull cycles. There's going to be dumps, right? And so
Yeah.
I'm trying to play the market in a way that allows me to pick it up during the dumps and hit a target, not necessarily hit the top, but I'm trying to hit a target.
Impossible.
Right. And
No one is
so
going
I
to
set
time.
like a 20-30% target, and that's what I'm trying to hit. And that's kind of hard to hit right now because we're not moving that much. And so I'm actually getting pretty itchy with the tokens that I am holding. And I'm hoping that we get a huge pump here pretty soon, because I really don't like to hold tokens as long as I have been.
Yeah, that you learn from your mistakes in the past. Yes, no one is going to be able to time the Bitcoin price for this cycle exactly. My estimate now, personally, I don't know if you agree, is between 120 and 150K. Okay. I think 100 is like worst case at this point. Like the worst case scenario is when we get to 100, 102, 103, then go down from there. But I think 120 to 150, I know that's a large gap there. I've heard people say 200. I've heard people say 300. Very few people, some people are as euphoric as 500K this cycle. I don't see it. I don't care what anyone says. I don't think that's realistic. But 100 to 200, especially 120 to 150, to me is very realistic.
Yeah, I think 120 to 120 to 150 is realistic. I don't think those other numbers are there simply just because I don't think enough people are buying Bitcoin right now, and
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
there's enough interest yet. Right, yet.
Mhm.
They will be buying it the more that things like are happening with Trump and the potential of using as a strategic reserve. As more things like that happen, as more countries get on board, I think you'll see retail start to get involved. The more you see traditional finance begin to offer access to Bitcoin and other cryptos, I think you'll see all of
Yeah.
this grow, and those certainly are there in the future. But I think we probably still have another cycle to go through before we get to that
Yeah.
point.
And let's see exactly what happens at the conference. We will keep you updated. If you're a Voyager person, don't worry. We're still waiting on that date. We're hunting for that date. We don't have it. Tennessee says 1 million by 2030. It's definitely in the cards. Absolutely. I'm looking more towards 2032, but I think you could be right for sure, Tennessee. Guys, it was a pleasure. Keep it here for the latest. If you haven't done so, please smash that like and subscribe button. Super chats in the stores are open. You guys have a wonderful weekend.
See ya.